Paltrocast.
Well, thank you both for taking the time, and I'll throw the first question at Mark. It's a two-parter. I'll say, how are you, and how did you first encounter Ryan?
I am okay. I have had a day of running around embassies. I was in the Japanese embassy today, sorting out visas
Or
for
visas
the
for Ride, I would assume.
the imminent
Yeah.
touring that's about to happen. So I did actually completely miss my previous interview that was scheduled in, but I caught up with it. And yeah, but I'm good. I'm very busy at the moment because obviously when you're about to go away, then you're just trying to cram in what I would normally be doing in a month in 2 weeks, I guess. Because I've got the business here as well as the band.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, so that yeah, I mean, just yeah, I'm busy. I'm a busy guy, and that's good. And how did I meet Ryan? Well, I met Ryan at one of our gigs,
Oh,
and also the I was talking one evening with Shauna, uh, and talking about that I was always up for collaborations, and Shauna from Shameless basically went, "Oh, you should speak to Ryan. That could be an interesting one." So I think that was the original point of contact. However, maybe I've got that completely wrong, Ryan. I'm not really sure.
does he have that wrong, Ryan?
we t- we talked a long time ago, really briefly through an email exchange, but nothing that was like
Okay,
solid
finding.
as yeah, right. We didn't really find each other until we met at the show.
Yeah. No, I mean that's right. It's hard because obviously you meet quite a lot of people. I meet quite a lot of people. I mean, firstly, American tours get a bit sketchy because I'm on the dreaded sort of sleeper bus or the non-sleeper bus. So everything gets a bit kind of Alice in Wonderland in a way, just through sleep deprivation.
Yes.
So it's just kind of yeah. I mean, and obviously once I've done the show, that's kind of my main focus. So everything else then just it gets a bit surreal, I guess. So if I'm sure I've met quite a lot of people, and I don't even know sometimes. But that's just the way it goes.
And a compliment to you before we talk about a Shoreline Dream is that the ride tours just keep getting bigger and bigger. You're playing to more and more people as time goes on. So congratulations on that end. Sounding great. The crowds are
Thank
coming.
you.
Don't go
Yeah,
away. No farewell tours, please.
no, I mean, well, I mean, we've just made a new record, and the whole point of making a new record for me is that we're on the Interplay tour now. I mean, obviously we did the double headers with Charlatans, which was a nice way to address some old records together, and that helped sort of bring extra punters in, I guess. So now, I mean, it's slightly different now because we're going out with Interplay, but obviously we're still playing a few of the old Shoegaze classics. So yeah, look, and it seems to keep going in the right kind of direction. But you never know. I don't know. I mean, it's like we're just keeping it. It's on track at the moment, but you can't be complacent at all. Who knows? I mean, I couldn't say that it'll all be happening next year or the year after. I just don't know. I mean, right now I know we're coming back to the States in December,
oh,
and
great.
that's about as far ahead as I've thought with regards to our American dates. And before then, we've got to survive the Far East, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, UK tour. So America in December seems a long way away at the moment.
For sure. Now, Ryan, when I listen to a Shoreline Dream, these sound like songs, but at the same time they have Mark's flavors, the noise, the good noise, and all that. So, how does it work in terms of the collaboration? Did you send songs in progress and say add this, or is it trading files before it even got to rough mix mode?
Yeah, we actually had quite a few songs already in the beginning phase on our end. And I wanted to give him the opportunity to pick songs that really resonated with him rather than saying, hey, here's a song. Can you do this one? Hey, here's a song. So I gave him the whole library and said, any of these feel good to you? And that's how it all kind of came to be. So they were in their beginning phase. I generally start songs with with a bass and a melody and, you know, the rhythm and the tempo. And then after that, we fleshed it out.
That was
Absolutely.
actually going to be my next question was, does it start as a song and then you add the ear candy, or does it begin with the ear candy and then you build the song around it? Is it ever the latter one where you have the really cool tone and then make a song?
The vibe and the sound that those songs were there at the beginning, but
Hmm.
obviously not all the instrumentation in place yet. And, you know, the vocals add so much because in general, a Shoreline Dream is layered vocals, and what Mark did layered it out so much that it changed the dynamics of the whole pieces of these compositions, but uh you know, we have these vibes that we established right up front.
Now,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and for me, that's right. There are lots of music that's coming my way, and then but that's kind of almost in a similar way that happens with Ride as well. That lots of music is made, and then certain tunes I'll jump on and start trying to turn maybe into a song with words, lyrics, top lines. And actually, I suppose I played some bass as well on this with the Shoreline Dream stuff as well because it helps put some sort of anchor in there a little bit sometimes for then a vocal line as well for me. So and also because I'm kind of a singer that would like to be in a bass player as well. So any excuse to play the bass from time to time is always fun for me. So yeah, for sure. So in that way, it's quite not that unfamiliar way of me working, let's say.
well, Mark, in terms of your workflow, a lot of artists that I've spoken with, guitar players especially, who are known for their tone and their effects, actually write everything on an acoustic guitar, like the exact opposite of what we're used to. Do your songs ever start on acoustic?
They used to. Back in the early Ride days, some songs definitely started acoustically for sure. Just because that's what I had at my house at the time when I maybe got home late, um, drunk or out of my mind, and suddenly grabbed a guitar and pressed record and thought, I've got divine inspiration. It's going to be great. And 9 times out of 10, it was not. But so it was just kind of what I had around me. But now I've got this place around me and lots of other sound sources. So it's yeah, I don't think any of the recent Ride material started off acoustically. I think most of the Interplay album was pretty much us jamming in the studio together as a band and lots of noises and just being a band really without knowing what we were doing. So um, yeah, I think it changes again. It's not one way, but like I say, I think definitely that was definitely more apparent or a working method back in the 90s.
Got it.
Yeah,
Now,
and to add to that,
yeah,
I'm definitely the same way. I think that, you know, in your beginning phases, you do start with a melody on your acoustic or whatnot, but the inspiration always comes from something new, and it kind of like propels you in a new direction when you try different instrumentation to start off with what you're making. So a lot of that was with what we were doing as well.
but
Yeah,
the drums at
absolutely.
the same time are very pronounced in the
Mm,
recordings. They're not buried in the mix. Like
Right.
traditionally in shoegaze bands, I'm not saying Ride per se,
mm,
and I don't say the shoegaze in a negative way because you
sure.
said it first, Mark. But the
Mm.
drums are usually an afterthought. And in this case, Ryan, you're able to make the drums a driving thing in these songs. So how does that work when you have to put the noise, but it's a song, but the drums are leading it?
What's interesting is I've never really looked at it as shoegaze or, you know, I look at it as what's a really good rhythm and what's a really good melody and how can we flesh that out. To me, drums and bass are so pivotal
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm.
I don't know why I would hide them way in the back when they kind of are the driving force of what these songs were. So
Yeah,
that's kind of where it came from.
and for me, it's the foundation. I mean, I do a lot of mixing and work with a lot of bands, and I think drums and bass, the foundation. Without a good foundation, then everything, like a house, it's just everything sort of what you put on top, it just falls down. So I mean, and I love being in England, even during the time that shoegaze emerged or whatever. Obviously, it was a period of dance music. Really, that was the huge. I was going to a lot of raves, and that was all about bass, drums, rhythms, and yeah, and I loved it. I got lost in a lot of those raves and places, and with all sorts of weird and wonderful people, and like Left Field for me, Orbital, people like that are hugely inspirational for me. So yeah, so I mean, I think if anything that was buried for me, if we're talking on the shoegaze thing, it was more vocals originally, because and that was really because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I thought at the time I didn't really sing that well, and I think it was more of a thing of cover up a bit of a bad job initially, and then it became a kind of style thing, I guess. But it wasn't. It was more just because I just thought everything's really powerful here. It doesn't, I'm not like Freddie Mercury or Bono here. Going to put the big sort of line on it. So that wasn't me, and we were kind of into the idea of the way Velvet Underground and people like that works, just making lots of noise, and vocals were a part of it, but I think that the vocals of anything were more drowned out than drums and bass, especially with Ride, because I mean, Loz and Steve are just like the thunder. It's like serious foundations going on with those guys, and so yeah, I mean, we'd be a bit lost without those two.
What you just said reminded me of how the Traveling Wilburys got their name, which was that it was a joke that Will bury it in the mix, when they messed up.
I didn't know that. I never knew that. That's interesting. Okay.
So it's interesting to hear, projecting on what you just said, that your, self-consciousness about what you're good at and what you're not good at actually accidentally created a genre.
In a way, and I think it was a kind of sound as well, because also some of the contemporary bands we were listening to at the time, My Bloody Valentine, Ultra Vivid Scene, the 4AD and the Creation, other bands that we loved at the time, Loop. It was just, it was more about the noise than the vocal thing, I guess. So there was a slightly stylistic thing, but I mean, as time has gone on, I like to be heard now. I'm singing, and I think I became a much better singer than the kid that I was when I was 18, 19. I was just a sort of a boy then, didn't really know what I was doing. So which is good. That has its charm as well. But I think in time, it's something I've worked on a lot, and I think I'm a good singer now. So I don't want to be completely buried.
Well, throwing it back to Ryan here. So the album to us is new because as we tape this, it's still not out for a few weeks until when it comes out on vinyl and digital and all that kind of stuff. But what's next for you? Because, you've been pretty active in recent years. It's not just a Shoreline dream for you.
Right, yeah. This is definitely a primary focus because this was a huge collaboration and something I want to get marketed. Since I am essentially the record label, I'm going to be spending a lot of time marketing and making sure that the songs get out to the people. So I want to do some live shows. We haven't done live shows forever. I'm going to be looking for that opportunity. I have to assemble some musicians to make this happen. But music always comes first, and I will most likely continue writing. I can't stop writing because I start getting too depressed. If I don't, I'm a goth by nature. So I will keep pushing the boundaries of that. And I'm really hoping that somehow after Mark gets through all his stuff that we can continue trying to do some new material as well. So because that was just such a great workflow, and we really hit some really amazing tracks.
Absolutely. It came good, yeah.
And then one question for Mark, and then I'll let you go. And it has nothing to do with a Shoreline You have to keep saying the names so the SEO picks up, the algorithm picks it up, and keeps pushing it forward. So we'll say it again: A Shoreline Dream. Okay. Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing Nick Moran, who directed that Alan McGee movie and all that. And when I was doing it on the junket, and he was asking what I thought about it, I said, it's great, it's entertaining, but you didn't talk about Ride. And I thought that Ride was maybe the best band from that whole scene. And he goes, yeah, they were. Did you like the Creation Story movie?
I thought it was pretty terrible. I mean, I watched a bit. Did I even watch it? I think I've watched a bit of it, and it's just a bit like, what is that? I mean, it's quite funny. It makes me think about famous quote from John Lydon where about they did that. There's been a recent I can't remember what it's called, but like a Sex Pistols dramatization thing with young actors and stuff. And
yes.
He sort of famously on one of the breakfast TV just sort of went, "It's mimicry. It's mimicry." It's just, I don't know. It's a pretty good story, but it is a bit odd. I mean, obviously, I think we were the first band to chart with Creation and all of it, but I mean, maybe not the most fashionable ones and not the most interesting in the sense. Obviously, when Oasis came in and it all went off, then it was the end of Creation really, and it was just like that was just their label. So look, people that know their music or whatever, who cares if we're not sort of in a film which is basic bit of, I don't know, I don't get it. And some of the books as well, I just thought I'd read a few of the books on that time and the label. That wasn't my experience either. I was involved in Upside Down. There's a documentary called Upside Down which interviewed a lot of the people in Creation, including McGee and all of us, and I thought that was really good because it kind of captured the humor and the madness of it all. So I think there are some pretty good documentaries with it, but dramatizations, films like that, it's fine. I mean, if people enjoy that,
Lydon said it.
Yeah, I guess in a way. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's not. I was in the middle of it. It's not as I sort of remembered it, and yeah, it's a bit insulting that if we don't even figuring it when we were. I mean, Oasis came to the label because they were Ride fans. I mean, McGee used that to court Noel. I mean, McGee brought Noel to the studio when we were recording Carnival of Light, and Andy and I met him and thought he seems like a all right guy, and he left a tape with us. We were like, who's it? Why is McGee a bit excited about us meeting this guy Noel? I mean, it was one of his ways, if to kind of attract bands to the label. So, and it was nice. I've got pictures of that time when we first met Noel, and I remember that moment with Andy. I think when we said, well, we should listen to this tape, and I think it was Columbia was on it, Live Forever, maybe Shaker Maker. I don't know. It's like 3 tracks on this demo, and I just looked at Andy and went, okay, now I get it. Now I get why McGee's kind of bringing Noel to the studio and wants to sign this band, because I think he was a bit always, I think, a regret with Alan that he didn't sign Stone Roses, but like he may have signed something bigger and better than that now. I don't know. So, but yeah, so it's kind of fun. And I remember the first thing that Noel or Liam ever said to us was like, we fucking had OX4 on our answer phone. I'm sorry for all the Manchester people, that's bad Manchester accent, but I just remember like them saying that, and that was the sort of first time we met them, and they kept saying about OX4 was their answer phone thing, or I don't know, when it rang, people heard OX4. I don't know. So there you go.
Wow. So basically what I just learned right there is you were used to recruit Oasis, kind of like how Sonic Youth was used to recruit Nirvana and a lot of the Geffen bands. You were the credibility pull band, for better and for worse. But
I think we might have been one of the bits of it, but I think, look, Alan himself, that was the right label for Oasis at that time. Creation were fantastic. 4AD at that time were fantastic. There were a few brilliant labels, and Creation were one of them. And those early Oasis records and Creation Perfect, I mean, brilliant. I mean, what a perfect home for them, as it was for us. Creation was a fantastic label for Ride because McGee got to know the people, and then he believed in the people, and he left the people to do their thing because he knew us all really well. He trusted us. There was that trust there. and that's why it worked out. You know, it wouldn't Ride would never have worked on a label if someone came in and said, "Oh no, you need to turn the guitars down, put the vocal right up, and do it like this." It's just forget it. It would have been game over. But then, you know, that's why McGee was genius, because he got to know everybody. He trusted people and let them do their thing. And when we then were in trouble, like, who the hell is going to mix this record now, whatever, he'd quickly step up and go, bring in Alan Moulder. You know, when we needed help, he was straight in. So it was perfect for us, that label, and that whole time. It's great.
Thank you for all that info. Thank you for your time. Ryan, congrats on Whitelined. Hope we get to see some live shows around the U.S., maybe with Mark and all that. Mark, looking forward to the U.S. tour in forever from now, after Japan and Asia and all that. But seriously, congrats on this record. Thank you both for your time, and looking forward to what's next from both of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and make sure to go and pre-order the vinyl. It's only got 200 copies left, so they are available at ashorelinedream.com.
Paltrocast.